Oz, if Elon Musk said tomorrow that you can get a Neuralink chip and it'll transform your guitar playing, would you get it?
What's going on, everybody? Houston Ensemble number 41, the great, terrifying, ruthless Oz Noy. Oz, I've been listening to Oz for a very, very, very long time. And then recently, he and I and Simon Peter the King did a collaboration on some rhythm changes, and it was awesome.
Nuts.
It was nuts, and so I'm just extremely thankful for Oz and him agreeing to come through here again. How you doing, Oz?
I'm good. I'm extremely thankful to be in here.
You are? Because, I figured, because we had Bruce. We actually had, the first guitarist we ever had was Corey Christensen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then we had Bruce Foreman, and then we had Kurt and Oz. So we're trying to really build a family here.
So you're lowering your standard as you go. You just keep going.
No.
It's downhill from me here.
No,
from here.
I was thinking we were going up, but you Oz, you shouldn't project your insecurities like that.
Oz, so because I don't know a lot about you, where are you from?
Israel.
Oh, you're from Israel.
Yeah, originally. I've been in New York for 25 years almost, but 24 and a half, but originally from Israel, yeah.
Wow, we got a lot of stuff to talk about then.
Yeah, because we had this guy, Corey Gil Schuster, who... Yeah, he has a YouTube channel that's all about talking to Israeli and Palestinian people on the streets.
Okay. And trying to make peace with the...
Well, trying to just get them talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Trying to at first get them talking, and if we can get to the peace part at some point, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
But he was saying that generally... there is no desire on either side to achieve any peace.
To understand each other.
Or to understand each other.
There's just not a desire for that.
I haven't lived there in so many years, and although I'm close with my family and I go visit, I'm not super educated about the day-to-day thing that's happening there in terms of that. I think that there's a lot of people that do want peace over there from both sides. I actually think that on both sides, most people do want to talk and want to have peace, but everybody's tired because it got stuck and everybody lost hope. That's my opinion about it. I think that the Palestinian side, most of them want to just live their lives. Israelis definitely just want to live their lives, but because the situation is so complex, it's just people got exhausted from it not going anywhere,
Yeah.
That's my opinion about it.
I don't even want to get there. We can go there if we want, but for this episode, we already did the Israel-Palestine episode. We can do another one.
Yeah, I'm actually not a good guy to talk to.
Yeah, I got you. So what we can do is, go into our strong areas, which is predominantly for now, I would say music. Like when Kurt was on, we didn't even talk about guitar, hardly, if at all. We just went straight up into the other levels, you might say things pertaining to performance, things pertaining to the psychological phenomena of creating music. And I wonder, Oz, what do you have to say about that? What do you have to say about what's going on here and in here
Yeah.
when we play.
I think I had a talk with yesterday. I talked to Adam Rogers, the good friend of mine, guitar player,
Mm-hmm.
and we talked about something. And Adam said something really interesting. He says, like, after doing it for so long, I still can't figure this thing out. Sometimes I sound great and I feel great. Sometimes I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I don't know what it is. It's just this kind of mystical thing that's happening. Like, I would think that even somebody like Herbie or Chick or people like that are on, let's say they're on the zone all the time,
Right.
that's where we want to get to. We always want to be in the zone. I think they probably have off nights too. They just, an off night for Herbie or Chick is not the same as an off night for me. I don't know. It's like, it's I think the key about this whole thing is you want to be in the zone, and being in the zone meaning a lot of different things, but I think it's basically meaning that you relax enough and everything around you just works well enough that everything you think about or you feel just come through when you play. Am I right about this?
Yeah, when we've actually done, we don't have like a tremendous amount of data on this, but recently we have a lot more than we used to about what the neurological activity is of a person who's in that zone.
Mm-hmm.
And what we've found is that it is very related to brainwave states and the particular. What was that?
I'm saying it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. So the wave state in question is called the alpha state. And as a matter of fact, I've heard from other musicians decades prior, like even some things that I actually heard this from Chris Potter, and Chris Potter said that Stan Getz would talk about this, is the alpha zone, the alpha state. And that's like that brainwave state where it's just the neurological response of the body is just in tune with precisely what is going on in that moment. And a lot of kind of weird, like, you dare I say, magical things are happening when you're in that state. You're receiving information clear, you're thinking clear, your heart rate goes down, your body temperature stabilizes. It's like this really crazy, powerful phenomenon.
But I think that's only a part of it. I think that's half of it. I think the other half is the stuff that you have no control over, or you don't have much control over, meaning the environment that you're at, meaning the club that you play or the room that you play at, the people that are in front of you or not in front of you, and also your sound, which is your voice. So to me, that's as important because that makes a huge effect. Like, how many times did you play a gig and your sound sucked and you couldn't play well because of that? Or how many times you play a gig where the room sound sucks and because of that you couldn't play? So I think that's one part of it, and then there's the other part of it that's more technical, but I think it's as important in a way,
Oh yeah.
to me at least. I don't know, I kind of feel like that's especially if you go, I had these talks a lot with Adam where we talk about the idea of, actually I used to have talks about it with Stern also, because when you go in the studio and record, whatever you hear in the headphones, it's completely unrealistic to how you used to hear in guitar.
Right.
We don't hear guitar that way. I know for a fact that there are some well-known guitar players that will not record with headphones. They're either going to be in a control room or have their amps around them because they can't play with the headphones thing. So that perception of sound for guitar is a big deal. And what I think about it is, when you cut off the air from guitar, it basically kind of messes up everything. Like, if you're a saxophone player or horn player, the way you project sound is you put air out. With guitar, the air is the volume that goes between the guitar pickups and the amp. Once you move the amp, or you don't hear the air coming out of the amp into your ears, and you hear it through this little like headphones and stuff like that, that makes things a lot more challenging. It's like somebody cut the air out of a saxophone player, So I think that has a lot to do with that zone too, you know.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I can't tell. I mean, like you said, I can't tell you how many times
Yeah,
I've been just like mind effed because I'm like, this is not what I want to sound like right now, and I'm being. Imagine if you were a singer and you had like a choker on you the whole time or something. Like
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
yeah,
kind of how it can feel like sometimes.
yeah. You know,
Childhood.
I got to tell you something interesting. If we're already on it, I'm a part of this group that happens every when the pandemic started. It's actually kind of a secretive thing, but it's not that secretive. But when the pandemic started, UA Universal Audio started to do this inside group it's just like a Zoom meeting with a bunch of Universal people, guys, and my good friend James Santiago. That's the guy that designed the aux, the Universal aux, and
Cool.
he's the head of the guitar thing.
Whoa.
He started this Zoom group, and it grew a lot. Like, and it's a lot of guitar players. So the one of the sessions, I was on it. Steve Vai was on it. Dwizzle Zappa was on it. John Shanks was on it. James and a bunch of other people, and we started to get into this really deep conversation. We got into this whole thing about the zone, and I saw Steve was writing something on a piece of paper, and I was like, "What are you writing?" He like everybody was kind of saying like, "What do you need to be to get into the zone?" And there was about like 5 things that that happened, and I'll try to remember them. I don't know if I can, but you have to be relaxed. You have to trust the people or the environment around you. um, what else was there? I actually have it on a in a somebody made an artwork with it for me. So I read it again. Yeah, this is what it is. Don't think, relax, listen, trust, and appreciate. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we were, and I saw Steve was writing it as a piece of paper. I was like, what? So I ended up writing it, and I made like a artwork out of it. It's in my, it's my
That's
on a
sweet.
wall in my kitchen.
I'm gonna use that tonight and try
It's
and think
great.
about that.
Because we kind of figure out those are the 5 things that you kind of everybody agreed that kind of gets you into the zone. That's what we're
Yeah.
talking.
Wow, Oz. So you're in New York right now, yeah?
Yeah.
Are you playing out right now? Are you getting to play some new places right now, or are you kind of still in the home?
Everything is pretty much closed. Things start to open a little bit now. I played a gig last week somewhere upstate. This next, I guess this month, April coming up, I have like 2 gigs, and I do mostly stuff from home still, like recording and stuff. So there's rarely any gigs, but it's started to open up a little bit.
And so like right now, or at least through the pandemic, what has been like your kind of primary bread and butter for sustaining yourself?
Mostly recording from home and teaching.
Wow. Well, that's good. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Are there any projects that you're working on right now that you want to share on here?
Um, well, there was a couple of things that already, I had a new record that came out last November, so that came out.
Sweet.
Then I have this book that came out just a week or two ago. That's something that I worked on in the summer, and then that company, Fundamental Change, they were the one that made the book, so it came out.
I saw
I
that.
played through the whole summer with 2 friends of mine from the neighborhood. We went to play in the park. Just I would bring a battery amp because you didn't have
Oh,
any
yeah.
gear. So we did it like 2 to 3 times a week all summer. We did it like for like 4 months through the pandemic. And actually, I never played that much jazz ever in my life. So we went to a studio and recorded just like a standard record, and it turns out pretty cool. So we're finishing it now, and at some point it's gonna get released. So I guess I have a record of me playing a guitar into an amp with no effect and nothing, just playing standards. That will come out probably this year sometime.
Excellent.
Yeah, yeah. And then other than that, there's 1 or 2 projects that are still kind of like I have my side band, the Ozone Squeeze. So I've been working on getting another album, but it's going really, really slow because of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another project, something with Mono Neon, and this is my friend Tal Bergman and Michael Bearden's a keyboard player, and Ty Taylor. That's something that's kind of more like an LA project that we finished an album together. So that probably will happen this year. So there's a couple of things kind of like that we're. But the thing is, those things were supposed to be already done a while ago. It's just because of the situation, everything stopped and got really slow, you know?
Wow. I'm sure Armin, pretty sure he already told you, but we went through the same thing playing in the park using that same exact amp, right? You told him about that?
Yeah. Roland.
Well,
So Roland?
Yeah, the Roland, yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. It's like we had that exact same experience just going out into the park a bunch of days during the week.
And our jazz chops got really good.
Yeah, we got.
I can't imagine you with better jazz chops, Armin.
No.
I would quit right now. If you have more jazz chops, then I'm done. I'm retiring. I'm starting to play blues. That's
hey man, that's you say that, but there's plenty of guitarists that make me feel like that, and I mean you make me feel like that. So it's all.
I'm not in that level.
The good news about that sort of idea, like there are so many people that are just at insane levels. Obviously, like you guys, but what's good is that there's so many people in the world, and that the world that we know is so big that I honestly think that there's room for everybody to kind of have their own voice or a stage or a niche or something like that, because music and art are so sought after just in general, and everybody's a little bit different, so you're not going to get the same thing all the time no matter what. And not always the most insanely technically proficient are the most interesting to listen to even.
Right.
There might not be as much, I don't know. So, I mean, you see that in classical music a lot, especially with people who can play something just so perfectly, but then you listen to it and you're like, you're not feeling the vibe of it. But hey, you got everything.
I think the problem that's happening today is there's great players, there's amazing, that the guitar world has developed and still developing in a pretty amazing way, and I love where it's going, especially in terms of jazz, also in terms of like rock and all that kind of stuff. There's great innovation and the people that really push it to the next level. My problem is not that. My problem is that there's a lot of people that are not supposed to be that are not supposed to have the spotlight on them, and because of social media and the internet and YouTube, and because they have the abilities that other people don't have, they get more attention than the people that's supposed to get the attention. There's a lot of people that are not supposed to be in the front. You know what I mean? They're not supposed to be in the highlight. It's cool for everybody to exist, and it's cool for everybody to try to do what they do the best they can. But there's just everything is too open, like the scene is just too open. Like everybody that has a little bit of chops and has a lot of chops in social media or on YouTube or the internet will get a lot more attention that he does not deserve than somebody that doesn't have those chops. That's something that is a problem to me, Is
it kind of like an Instagram hero of some sort, where they're like so good at making a 1-minute video, but placed in the real life, it'd be different?
Exactly. That Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff is a problem. It's not, it's a good tool, but it's not supposed to feature every fucking body in the world. You know what I mean? It's supposed to be like the guys that are really good at what they do is supposed to be the one that are featured and pushing it to the next level. And there's just too much noise all around it from people that just trying to get attention,
Speaking of which, that I think is Filipino. He is like a session pop guitarist, and prior to him removing his account, he removed his own account, or he deactivated his account. He was probably the biggest guitar account.
Oh, no. Are you talking about
Mateo?
He's Brazilian.
Brazilian, right.
He's actually an amazing example of somebody that needs to be there because it's a really
well, that's
amazing.
what I'm saying. But see that the irony is like he was there. He was at the forefront,
Yeah.
and then he opted out of it because he's like, this is too much. This is bastardizing the idea of music. These little.
I don't know why he did it. I thought he did it. He started to kind of get dark. He didn't want to play or something. I don't know.
I read his thing. I read his justification for it, and he basically.
What did he say exactly?
I mean, we can look it up, but to paraphrase, he says that Instagram, social media has cheapened music to 10, 15-second sound bites. And it's encouraging people not to go to live shows. It's encouraging people to commodify artistry. It's encouraging people to make dumber and dumber content that's not fully fledged out. And he just doesn't want to be a part of that anymore.
Yeah. Well, here's the main problem with Instagram. And he actually was the king of this because he's done it so well. He would do 1 minute clips. That's it.
Yeah.
Like he wouldn't, all his writing and all his thing would be 1 minute. I experienced it when I did this little goofy thing when I played with a metronome by myself. I played over standards in the pandemic. I would just put takes of me playing a rhythm changes or Donna Lee or whatever. I started to experience that because after a minute, you go to that other aspect, like the real TV or whatever that thing is on Instagram. So I remember I had to, in order to try to put 2 choruses or 3 choruses in, I had to play in a certain tempo. And that's extremely unmusical when you think you're doing this just to get the attention that you want because of a 1 minute thing. So Mateos was really great at it because he was able to create a cool tune or some cool ideas in a minute, but it's an extremely unmusical situation to deal with, and also, most of those guys that put those 1 minute clips, I don't know how they sound live. You know what I mean? They sit at home with a track. Usually they'll record before they're recorded and then they'll fake it, or they'll record and then they fix it because video is very forgiving. So it's not that somebody sat in front of the camera and played a perfect take, with perfect, it's like there's a lot of bullshit behind it. I know it because I have to do this thing sometimes when I do recording sessions.
Right.
So it's not really realistic. It's realistic for the format, but I don't think it's realistic. It's realistic for real life,
I've been myself like pretty much inactive, like here or there, like every month I might post one video kind of thing, but it's started to piss me off because it's like, how many gimmicky things do you want me to do? Like how many stupid gimmicky things do I have to keep doing to maintain this audience? And the audience is like very my audience can be kind of very intense. If they don't see something coming out, they'll unfollow me. I've had like over, I would say, almost 1,000 people unfollow me.
Really?
Yeah, because I just don't post the really funny shit anymore, or
I don't think you should do that. I think, especially in your case, you just need to do what you do. You play really good guitar. You just have to play a really good guitar. That's all you need.
Yeah, and that too, and I don't, and I mean the whole, like now I'm actually, I have a gig tonight. Are we doing Axelrad tomorrow?
No, not tomorrow.
Okay, well Thursday and Friday and Saturday and I've been putting more of my efforts into the live music and realizing like how much better that feels than sitting at home and like thinking about the most amazing thing I could do in these 20 seconds for these people.
Yeah, I know it's not right, and the fact that this is how the world works today, or this is how people perceive it today, doesn't mean that it's right. You know what I mean?
And another thing on top of that is, with the whole pandemic thing, everything is turning into like some sort of live stream show.
I gave up on that shit a long time ago.
It's very difficult to present a live stream that actually, one, sounds good, two, operates well, And 3 is interesting because you're pretty much all of them lag unless you have like the best equipment. And then secondly, there's nothing like going to a live show. You're never going to get the energy, the healing power of the music, the unifying, but you're not going to get that through a screen. You have to be there in the actual wavelengths.
You want to hear something funny? So in the beginning of the pandemic, at some point, Smalls started to do some live streaming. And it was after maybe 2-3 months. So, so I talked to Bernstein, to Pete, and he goes like, oh, I'm going to Smalls to play, like I'll do a live stream from there. I was like, oh, cool. I'll watch it. I was really excited. I was like, oh man, Smalls, Bernstein, kind of got me going. So I went on YouTube and I opened it and I listened to one tune. And after one tune, I was like, big deal. This is just like watching any other YouTube clip. It meant nothing to me. Yeah. Even the fact that it was live, it still meant nothing. It's still the same thing. You're watching a video on YouTube. So I watched 1 or 2 songs, I turn it off,
Yeah. It's also not going to keep an audience.
By the way, can you let Peter know that I emailed him? I'm going to email him again. I want him on the show. We want him on the show.
If I talk to him,
yeah.
Do you have the right email for him? You have the right?
Maybe that's what it was. I emailed his NYU email, I think.
Okay, talk to me later, I guess.
Okay. Well, in any case, yeah, and I know from having done some work with Dennis Chang, I think you might have heard about Dennis Chang, Oz.
No.
He's a guitarist and educator. He was in Montreal. Was it Montreal? Yeah. I don't even remember where I went, but he flew me up there to do like a little masterclass thing, and he told me about the musicians who have politely rejected doing a masterclass, and the reason is because some people, and I'm really starting to feel this myself, it's hard to get jived with a backing track. There's no interactivity. And it can be frustrating if you're trying to go places, but instead you're having to revert to whatever this kind of like backing.
I never do master. I never play with backing tracks to begin with, ever. I don't even practice with backing tracks at home. I never did.
I know. I mean, it's even better sometimes to just practice with the metronome. The metronome can be more musically liberating than even the backing track.
I agree with you 100%.
So yeah, we have to get. I think we have to get in touch with interactivity, with physicality a little more. I think, especially now because of what's going on in the world, we might make the mistake of thinking that we can literally substitute every physical thing with some digital version.
Right. Yep.
And I do not believe in that. I think that is a mistake.
No, that ain't gonna happen.
That's kind of like honestly, it's kind of an alarming, almost like a transhuman type sentiment where we just get away from everything that is organic and we replace everything with something that's synthetic. But yeah, go ahead.
No, keep going. Finish it.
It was not important. I want to hear what you have to say about that.
A lot of people said, the world's gonna change, everything's gonna change, blah blah blah. I think the essence of what we do will never change. It doesn't matter how many. Once the pandemic will be over, once people are gonna go out of their houses and start interacting with other people, live music will be back. People will go out. It'll be back. Maybe the clubs, they're not going to be the same clubs, but other new clubs will open up. What we do, I don't think it's going to change much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just because it's human nature. People need to interact with other people. People need to touch other people. People need to smell other people. People need to listen to music in a live situation. There's nothing that can replace it. You can't sit at home. And people know it, it's like maybe people that don't go out of the house and decide to not do it. Maybe it's not as important for them, the live experience, but that will never change. It's just like the same as breathing air. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't want to block the breath. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I think once the pandemic is over, that aspect all our life will be back to where it was.
And another hopeful thing kind of related to that sentiment is that I saw that the Berlin Philharmonic is opening back up, and they started to sell tickets, and they sold out 1,000 tickets in the first 3 minutes of opening.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised either, but I was just so happy to see that's coming back. And I know that especially symphonies, that's kind of a crazy thing.
It's all gonna come back once people are healthy and people are hanging out. Nobody wants to sit at home. You know what I mean?
Seriously, some people do.
Some people apparently do, but they're fooling
still,
themselves.
you know, I'm not talking about those. I'm just talking about in general population, healthy population.
No, it's true. I mean, even if you're a recluse, like I'm kind of a recluse. I like to go in my man cave or whatever, you know. I like to get in there and
but you still like to go out and play live.
No,
you know?
exactly.
But he likes to party.
Yeah, that's totally. I mean, like what you were saying, like we're actually whether we'll one day, whether we like it or not, have to face the music, which is that we're an interconnected consciousness. Straight up, I'm not being facetious right now. We're gonna wake up and understand that our souls are important, our physicality is all connected to that, and what we project, the energy we project, and is very, very, very important. And I don't care how much work they're gonna do on these fancy digital technologies where you'll be able to feel certain senses digitally or whatever. Give me a break, dude. Give me a break. But
there's this great kind of like shaman spiritual guy who I listen to a lot, and he kind of put that as like a nostalgia for the human experience. Like I mean, you want to advance technologically, you want to make progress, etc., but you always will have this nostalgia for our organic nature or the things that come naturally to us, and I really identify with that. But what I was going to ask you, Oz, is right now, if you're turning on the radio, when you put the antennas up and you tune it in, what are you listening to?
Well, I don't listen to radio, but
I'm totally joking about the radio part.
I buy music. Like I like to buy CDs because I have a really great system here. Gonna have a studio here just in front of me. I like to listen to stuff, and I don't like the ideas of all the streaming services, not only because they fuck everything up for everybody, but because I don't like to listen to music that way. I don't like to have access to everything. I like to have access to the things that I want and know them and enjoy them, you know. So I buy stuff, you know, I buy on iTunes or I buy CDs. So I don't know. I can look at my iTunes thing and just tell you what's the recent thing that I bought if you want. You know?
Yeah, I'm actually very curious.
I bought the last Mono Neon record because I heard a track that I really liked.
Oh, cool.
My friend Ariel Posen, you know him, the slide player singer.
Not enough.
It's amazing. So I bought his new record. It's kind of a singer-songwriter record. Then I bought the Rite of Spring, the Stravinsky. I've never heard that one before, so I wanted to listen to that.
Oh, wow.
Eric Satie, Greatest Hits.
Oh, okay.
Gershwin, Greatest Hits.
Nice.
I don't know. I'm into that kind of stuff now.
So you're all over the place.
Oh, totally.
Good.
I bought when Chick died. Then I bought the, Chick Corea and Friends. I never had that record. And the first Return to Forever record I never had. I bought some Aldi Meola and Spyro Gyra stuff that I grew up on, you know.
Wow.
I have some Aaron Copland here, Dolly Parton, the Bee Gees. Woo!
Dolly Parton and the Bee Gees. Wow.
Yeah,
nice.
Big time. I don't know. I got some Bjork here. You know, like
You're
when
really
I see stuff, Todd Rundgren, Frank Sinatra. You know those LA sessions.
Yeah.
LA is my lady. That stuff is.
LA is my lady. Hey.
Yeah.
Oz.
I don't know. New Radicals. I don't know. I'm all over.
Oz. Is there anything that you wish you could say that sometimes you just think, man, it's better left unsaid?
There's a lot of things that
Right. So, what is one of the smallest one, the smallest ones?
I don't know. I got to think of it. It's kind of hard.
I know.
We're like priests right now.
We're like
I know you're
priests.
Jewish, or you have Jewish descent.
I don't know.
Like
Give me a
priests.
subject. In what subject?
Well, we talked about the music part and how the interconnectivity is being undervalued.
Oh, okay. I got a good one for you.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I have a lot of criticism about the blues world,
Ooh, okay. Give it to me.
and just hear me out. This is I've been thinking about it for a while, and I tried to kind of I never found a platform to talk about this because I know a lot of people get pissed. But I think the blues world got stuck. It's been stuck for years and hasn't been gone anywhere really.
Yeah.
Like because like people are, I think because people the musicians that play blues are musically limited, harmonically and melodically all the time. Then it just got stuck in this kind of puridity. I don't know, like this, like we're purists. We're only playing that old style of how it's supposed to be. So imagine if jazz would be like that. Imagine if jazz would be like that. We would still play Louis Armstrong solos. You know what I mean?
Right.
So jazz is the exact opposite. When everything opened up and things went to different places, and blues, somehow those guys got stuck in the 60s somewhere, and it just didn't go anywhere. Like, I'm not talking about Jeff Beck or Eric Johnson or, there's Derek Trucks, there's people like that. There's a few, but blues haven't gone anywhere in freaking 60 years.
Yeah.
And all I hear is new guys that play as good, that can play the same shit that Buddy Guy or Albert King or Stevie Ray has been playing for the freaking last 40 or 30 or 60 years. And some young new guy comes in and he can kind of do it. So he's the new kid. But what's the point of all this shit? I just don't get it. If I want to, you know what I mean? So that's my criticism about the blues world that I try to keep to myself, but not anymore.
I mean, even on the jazz side of things, like, there's a lot of people now that are dealing with learning jazz, trying to learn jazz more than ever. And what's happened is that institutions or like certain cliches about playing jazz have become like the curriculum for learning jazz.
But that's okay.
And well, it's okay, but
it's okay for learning, you know.
For learning. Yeah. And here's the deal. People talk about you going to a YouTube video and learning. And listen, I've learned a bunch of shit from YouTube videos. But I will tell you right now, without even blinking an eye, the hardest, most valuable lessons were at the private lesson.
Sure.
They were at the private lesson. So what do you get if a bunch of people are accessing the same A minor pentatonic lick PDF on this website that has 1 million views? That's what you're going to get. You're going to get that. You're going to get a dumbed down, silly version of what a blues is supposed to sound like. And guess what? SRV was not looking at anything coming out of Hal Leonard about playing. No offense to Hal Leonard. Love those guys.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, of course. But, all those guys, they listen, They learn from records, they learn from listening, not from looking,
Yeah.
At some, tab or PDF or somebody that gives you the spoon to the mouth, like, hey, here's this lick. Here's, take it. You'll play blues after.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. It's all shortcuts. Music, there's no shortcuts in music. You can't have shortcuts in music.
Yeah, you can't treat music like some product that gives you a shortcut for something. It's it's not some product like that you put in your car or whatever and it gets you going. No, it's like it's a huge spiritual endeavor. It's like I like how Mark Turner talks about learning music. He's like it's actually a psycho-spiritual endeavor.
Yeah.
Like so if you live what you want to sound like. You actually live it, whether you like it or not. And once you get real at the heart of your sound and at the heart of your mastery, you start realizing that the way you play is actually how you feel. The way you play is actually literally a reflection of how you are in your heart and in your soul. Am I tripping about that?
I don't think so.
Am I tripping about that, Oz?
I don't know. I never thought about it on that level.
Well, I mean, if I hear you play, you sound like Oz. And guess what? I could even go so far as to draw parallelisms between how you play and how you act, I would say. And same thing for me. And same thing for me. You know what I mean?
Sure. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. Oz, if Elon Musk said tomorrow that you can get a Neuralink chip and it'll transform your guitar playing, would you get it?
Sure, absolutely, in a heartbeat.
Okay.
You would?
Okay.
Well, I don't think you thought about it long enough. What he's going to do is make a hole in your skull and put a little wormy thing that's going to connect your brain tissue.
Yeah, I've heard him talk about this stuff.
You're basically going to be playing. They're going to call some random tune that you've never heard of, and then you're going to pull up the iRealB thing in your eyelids, and you're going to start swiping.
I'm not curious about that. I'm curious more about how would it feel to be on, like, I don't know, like the Keith Jarrett level of improvisation. You know what I mean? That's what I want to be,
It's so enticing, but I think it's the devil in disguise.
Download.
I'm sure it is. I just
download the Keith Jarrett spirit.
If I can feel it and just it act and then just remove the thing, but it's like
right, yeah.
The whole endeavor. I mean, I don't even eat stuff that I don't think my body will like. Now I'm gonna drill a hole into my head. That's like several levels removed.
I'm not gonna let anybody drill a hole into my head, but but the idea of be able to be like superhuman and do this kind of like, you can hear anything, you can play anything you hear, anything is possible. That's pretty
Turn
tricky.
on the George Benson mode real quick.
Exactly.
Okay, give me this. On a more spiritual level, Elon Musk says, hey, we've got this new biological implant, not Neuralink, but something else, and it'll actually allow you to live for as long as you want. Would you do that?
No.
So you would like to die. You don't want to be alive forever.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
What's the point?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what the point is, but I feel you on that. I don't know if I would want to do that either. And I think that sometimes when people are really quick to be like, yes, I want to live forever, I'm like a little bit worried about that. What do you, when you're walking around New York and you're playing guitar and you're on stage and you're thinking about life, in your eyes, what does it all mean?
Well, first of all, when I play guitar, I normally don't think about life. I just think, when I perform or play, I don't think about life. I just think about what I'm about to play,
Of course. Yeah, I don't mean literally think about life.
I think for us musicians, as hard as, we have it in one hand pretty rough, and in another hand, we have it the easiest out of anybody, because, I feel like my life is kind of a vacation. I don't have to go to work in the bank or the doctor's office or anything like that. I just do everything. I do something that I love to do every day, all day for 24 hours, and that's a pretty big deal, because in one hand, you don't have the security, the money, the financial security, because music is what it is and art is what it is. But in the other hand, our lives are pretty awesome, in terms of just living,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And not that touring is the same as traveling for pleasure, but you end up doing things that a lot of people just dream of, and you do it and get paid to do it. You know what I mean? So it's that kind of stuff. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
I would agree.
I honestly think that how bankers get like an extreme amount of political leeway. A banker could literally ruin the economy and then just get like a severance package.
Yeah.
A little slap on the wrist and he'd be fine. I think that amount of privilege should actually be given to the artists. We should be the ones running around with way too much money because we hold the culture of the entire world in our hands.
Absolutely. We make everything hip or non-hip.
That's it.
We make
Yeah.
cities, we make neighborhoods, we make
That's it.
everything that everybody loves. We're
That's
the
it.
ones that make them love it and be hip on, you know.
Yeah, and I don't want to go like an egotistical direction with this, but we're talking about bankers. What do? They destroy and monopolize. Good for them.
Yeah,
Gu-
but hold
guess-
on one second.
Huh? What's that?
But hold on one second.
What's that?
Let's say your wishes will come true and musicians will have a lot of money.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna fuck it all up.
I know,
The
right?
same way as bankers will.
They totally will.
Well, I was gonna actually what I was gonna say, which
Hey,
might
I wouldn't.
it might
You
change
know,
it a
if
little
you give
bit.
a jazz musician $1 million, he'll play till he ran out of money.
That's right. What
That's
were you gonna
cool.
say?
I was gonna say honestly, maybe in that sort of a environment where artists were, held at a much higher place than bankers, that might incentivize the whole population of the world to dig deeper into their art, because I think everybody is an artist in their heart, whether it's painting or cooking or playing music or making little miniature sets or something, or claymations or something like that. And then maybe that would disperse the wealth to this point where we would actually become kind of like a total like democratic style of thing where everybody was valued for a specific reason and everybody had a strong work ethic because they knew that they would get this thing from it. But
Yeah.
that's actually a pretty
I
cool
wish,
hypothetical.
but I think we're pretty far from it. But
We're
I wish
totally so far from it.
We're far from it. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, it's actually the human spirit that needs to be worked on. And to say that
Yeah.
just because you're a musician, your heart is good and you won't mess it all up, that's extremely naive to say.
I know a lot of
No.
musicians that are total assholes. Not
Oh, me
everyone
too.
are. And artists in general that are assholes. It's not like
Oh, yeah.
not everybody's perfect.
What's your view on kind of the absolute most mainstream music today?
I love it.
So what do you love? Give me an
I
example.
love, people bitch about it. Well, here's the thing. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase. I love a lot of what's happening today. There's a lot of garbage that is god awful, but there was always a lot of garbage that was god awful. In every period of music, there was always that. And if you avoid that or you take it for what it is, which is like bubblegum music for kids or whatever music for, people that don't want to think or whatever, that's fine. But the general idea of where music is going and the new stuff that's happening, I love it. I think it's great. I think it keeps pushing to the next, the sound is changing, the direction is changing. There are certain things that I don't like about it, but it's always comes in, like it goes, how do you call it, pendulum? It goes to one direction, then it goes to
pendulum.
the other one.
Right.
So now there's no rock guitars, there's no rock at all. So now it's all electronica, but it might come back at some point the other direction again, you know what I mean? So, but I like where things are going. I think there's great stuff that's happening, even in styles of music, even in electronic music or stuff that it's not my thing, but the value of production, the sounds, things like that are incredible. Like, I'll just give you an example, but somebody like Billie Eilish, it's so artistic how they did what they did, and there's no playing in it. It's all digital in a way. There's barely any playing, but it's brilliant. The only thing that I would say that I'm not a big fan of, and I know, and it's a period, and I think it's gonna pass, is songwriting. I'm a big fan of songwritings. I like to play with songwriters. I like to listen to songs. I grew up on the Beatles. I just like that stuff. So what's happening today in the world of music today is most of what we hear on the radio or like the popular stuff is more like what's called like top liners kind of stuff, where people write hooks over an existing track. It's not like Billy Joel sitting at home or Elton John or Paul McCartney and writing a song and trying different chords and different melodies. It's somebody creating a beat, and somebody put hooks on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, there's great songs and hooks that come out of that, but it's a very specific type of art now. It's different than what singer-songwriting used to be, like, you know, what songwriting used to be. So that's something that I miss, but it's not dead. It's just not in the front now, and it probably will come back at some point again, you know?
I mean, frankly, I would add another thing to that is that, you know, people say, you know, negativity sells. And I think there's a major loophole that, or a trap that people are not seeing. People talk about supply and demand. Well, there's the demand for music that's about popping pills and being depressed and suicidal thoughts and darkness and getting, you know, reamed from the back by the devil or whatever it is. And it's like, guess what? Demand is actually created. Did you know that? Do we realize that the record industries, the experts of culture, the people that are hired to sell and design and market ideas, they're creating a demand?
Absolutely.
We could just as easily create the demand for things that are fun, uplifting, positive,
Yep.
light, full of positivity, and that could be the demand.
Yep.
And then we might actually sell more than ever that way, because people are like, holy wow, this is making me feel so much happiness. This is getting rid of my depression. This is making me want to live life. But we've been seduced into the darkness. I don't want to get too, you know, like religious about it, but in a sense, we've been seduced into a dark kind of demand. Do you know what I'm talking about, Oz?
I think that I think I understand what you're saying. You know, there's always people that has the power that leads the way. Meaning, you know, I don't know much about politics or whatever, but I know a little bit more about music and the music industry, let's say. So if you think about it from a musical point of view, if somebody that has a lot of power and a lot of money in the music industry wants to have a certain artist or a certain direction or a certain sound to be the new thing, most chances they can make it happen, and that will change everything for us, you know, for people. So
Right.
but that has been happening for years. That's not new, you know.
No, it's not new. No.
So in
But
that sense, you know, we need the artists to be the one that are pushing the envelope, and obviously they're good artists, but but at least till recently, before social media, you really needed the big people to push and to get your stuff out there. But even now with social media, it's really rare that somebody is becoming Lady Gaga through freaking Instagram. That ain't gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. It's still not there. You know, it's like you have to have people with money and with the skills to get it there, you know. I remember actually when I remember well, Lady Gaga, she's from New York, and she used to play in the same club that I played at. I don't remember her, but I remember hanging out downtown in Rockwood, and she came with her producer, and she did a set. Nobody knew who she was. She brought like a crystal ball, and she played. And I remember standing outside there with my girlfriend at the time and going like, wow, that's actually pretty nice. And we went home, and about a month later, she got like this $1 million record deal, and a couple of months later, she was like the biggest thing in the world.
Wow.
That ain't gonna happen with Instagram. It's rare.
Right.
I don't think it could happen to that level, you know, or Facebook or any of our YouTube. It's possible to get somewhere with it, but not on that level. You know, you need somebody with power and money to push it, to do the whole work to get it to be international, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about how, because there's a lot of misconceptions about, like what you said, the idea that, oh, well, we're living in a digital age, you know, artists can just start their own following and do that. And it's like, yeah, they actually can. You actually can make your own niche and do that stuff. On the other hand, if you're trying to play Coachella, and if you're trying to sign a multi-million-dollar deals and have platinum records, the powers, the legacy record institutions still control that hemisphere of the world. And
if you want to play stadiums, it ain't gonna happen unless you get. Even if you broke through somehow, you need the big people around you. You know, you can't do it through freaking social media.
but like with everything else, the power exists in it's in the palm of the people. We don't have to do much for things to change. People think it needs to be bloody and massive and so super dramatic and difficult. No, how about just say no? How about just politely shrug and say no, thank you? And then these people will poop bricks when they realize that the people have unanimously decided that they're not going to take it anymore. We must eventually come to the point where this becomes a probability, not just a possibility. Because we think, well, that'll never happen. That can never happen. And this has always been this way. What are you going to do? No. Things do change. We have always had the power to do that.
That's
you know
true.
what I'm saying?
Amen.
Sure. Hallelujah.
There
Hallelujah.
you go,
We've got
baby.
the power to change it.
I'm voting for you for the next election.
Hell yeah.
I wasn't a naturally born citizen, unfortunately, but
I'll do it.
Well,
I'll
you can
take
be the
the-
president of the jazz community. Or something.
I'll do that for sure.
I'll take one for the team. I'll run. I've got the credentials.
There you go.
Oz, before maybe we go, how's the water in New York? Is it safe to drink?
I think it's safe. New York's supposed to be one of the best waters in the country, actually.
Wow.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, we've got these bottles here that have these filters on it by Epic
Yeah.
Water Filters, and they actually sponsor our podcast.
Oh,
And you just put the little filter on your straw in your bottle, put any water into it, and it filters out every
I know about that.
nasty chemical that you don't want: fluoride, chromium, pharmaceuticals, heavy metals, all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And so if you actually use the code Houston Ensemble on epicwaterfilters.com, you'll get 20% off.
Yeah.
And Armin and I have just been really big on that recently, filtering all of our water. You know, just even viruses. Keeps viruses out of the
Mm-hmm.
out
Well,
of the water.
I drink filtered water at home, but I don't know. I think the water are fine in New York.
Good. We're so happy that you're with us today.
Oz, you got anything else to let the people know? And then I feel bad about keeping you. I think you have a lot to do today. But anything else you want to do?
Do I have anything else to talk? I can't think of anything. I
Okay.
said what's on my mind.
What should people be looking out for to purchase? What's the newest thing? Okay, you got your book, right?
The book is the newest thing, and my latest album, Snapdragon. That's the
Snapdragon. Okay.
Sweet.
We will link all of Oz's socials.
Yeah,
We're gonna link Snapdragon and
in the book.
the book. So this is
Inside Outside Guitar Soloing. That's the name of it.
inside,
Sweet.
outside.
Yeah.
I like it. Oz, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is not the last thing we're gonna do together, I'm sure. And have a great day, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, later.
All right, we'll see you.